Well, it's the day after Boxing Day when I'm filming this. Got up, eventually. Boxing Day I didn't get up at all. Just lay in bed for the whole day. I kept telling myself, get up, come on, get up. But what's there to get up for? You know, I went downstairs, grabbed a few mince pies. That got me through the day. Decided to watch Afterlife by Ricky Gervais, which I haven't seen. Anyone else has seen it, so I thought I should watch it. So I started watching that, and bloody hell, it's depressing, isn't it? It's depressing. So I had a look up on the internet, the reviews for it. Everyone thinks it's rubbish, but I'm quite enjoying it in a sort of depressing way. It's a little bit like one of those Sunday evening programmes that the sort of normal middle classes like in the UK. You know, the sort of thing set in a nice sort of English town with lots going on which would never really go on in a normal town. And I thought it was quite clever for Ricky Gervais to play out this completely depressing story of just existential angst and grief in this sort of idyllic English setting, you know, but everyone else seemed to think it wasn't very believable. And the fact that everyone else thought it was rubbish and I thought it was quite good, that made me a little bit more depressed in a way. And so I've woken up this morning, I thought, come on, get out of bed, you've got to do something. You see, the thing with me is, I do work hard, but I work hard to cover up the fact that I'm lazy. You know, I am lazy. You know, there's no two ways about it. Given a choice, I won't get out of bed. I mean, what's the point, really? What is the point? I think it's something that us musicians suffer with. We're just naturally lazy. Musicians are naturally lazy. And we have to work in an industry where the only way you can get anywhere is by working harder than anybody else. That's the problem. I tell you, all those you want to work in the music industry, I wouldn't get so excited about it because you've really got to work like every hour of the day. You've got to sacrifice everything, family, relationships, everything to get anywhere. Because if you don't, someone else is. So, you know, I've always valued being a bit lazy. I've always thought that being a bit lazy is a good attribute. You know, it's a good balance to things. So when I woke up yesterday on Boxing Day and there was nothing to do, none of the shops were really open, you know, nothing was going on. Christmas was done. I was looking forward to lying in bed all day, but I've got to be honest, it's put me in a really low mood. I'm in a low mood at the moment. I mean, I couldn't even be asked to get up and go to my studio and film the YouTube video there, so I'm sat in the corner of my bedroom now, you know, doing a YouTube video on, basically, coincidentally, the 10 laziest artists on in the music business, although I'm sure they're not the laziest, but it's an excuse to do a 10 something, isn't it? I mean, really, that's what makes you all come, isn't it? It's quite depressing, really, when you think about it. Makes you not want to do anything, knowing that people are just coming here for me to read out a list of 10 things, the 10 worst this, or the 10 laziest this, the 10 most evil this, the 10 greatest this. I mean, what's it all about? I could be talking about some proper music now, couldn't I? I could be talking about something I really love, you know, and I'm sure the hardcore viewers of this, so they watch everything, they're going, yeah, Andy, that's what we want, well, that's what we want you to do. But the fair weather viewers, the lazy viewers, right? Lazy viewers who just want a quick fix. They want to click on something and they want to hear, who are the 10 laziest musicians? They're getting frustrated right now because I haven't kicked straight into it. I know they are. Come on, who's this bloke? When's he going to kick in? Now, they don't really understand my style, do they? They don't understand what this is about, you know. They don't understand, you know, how intellectual and advanced my YouTube is. It might seem very silly, you know, to people on the outside who don't quite understand it. You know, the hardcore viewers understand it. You know what I'm doing, don't you? Yeah, you know what I'm doing. You're sat there with a little smile on your face. I'm cheering you up after Christmas. Because you're probably the sort of person that does get depressed after Christmas. You know, so I imagine the sort of person who likes my YouTube channel is, well, a bit like me, you know. And so you're probably sat there completely depressed. When you're supposed to be happy, we're all supposed to be happy, aren't we? Because we've had Christmas. It's all spent a ton of money, eaten too much, had to sit around seeing the family and putting up with them. You know, luckily not many of the family came round this year. That was a bonus for me, I've got to be honest. And at some point this year, we lost our dining table. I set it down to do something, and then I stuck it somewhere. I can't find it. Got no dining table, so we had to have our Christmas dinner on our laps, which I enjoyed. That was the one bit of the day I enjoyed, because it was breaking the rules of Christmas. Oh, God. But for many people who work hard, people who work hard and have proper jobs doing proper things, they probably look forward to Christmas because it's like a break, isn't it? So they look forward to it. But us lazy types, it's just another day for us, really. So bearing that in mind, that us musicians can be very lazy. Who are the laziest musicians? Well, there's no way we could tell, really. Joe Elliott from Def Leppard might be a lazy bugger, and the rest of the bands have a go at him regularly, the one with Rick Allen with no arm. He's probably going, come on, Joe, let's get on with it. Oh, I can't be arsed doing it. Oh, come on, I've only got one arm. I have to do everything with one arm. That's like doubling the effort for everything. I know that. I feel bad now. You're making me feel bad. I don't want to do anything, really. I'm just a bit of a lazy bloke, But they're not lazy, because Def Leppard have made loads of albums, haven't they? Over the years, they've made loads of albums. They don't give up. They don't care. They just keep putting them out, don't they? God knows what they're called or what they're like, But they're hardcore fans buy them, I suppose. They listen to them. Anyway, let's get on with this. So the only way we could really tell whether someone's lazy enough, I can't tell if Joe Elliott's lazy. He's probably not. I just made that up, that he could be lazy, and I wouldn't know. I don't want you to think I am saying he's lazy. He's not on my list at all. The only way we could work it out, the only way we can do it is by looking how long they take to make an album. That's what I've done, you see. So really, this should be called the 10 artists who took bloody ages to make the next album. That's what it really is, or do the next thing, shall we say. And in some of these, I would say they're not really that lazy, but I'll try and say what I can about it. But of course, anyone who watches my channel knows that, a long time ago, I gave up doing any research for anything, and I'm definitely not going to do some research for this one, because it is about laziness. I thought it wouldn't be right conceptually. Those of intellectual types who understand that this YouTube channel's on a little bit higher level than most of the other music YouTube channels, so that, I go a little bit deeper, albeit in a sort of, know-it-all postmodern meta type of thing, where it just seems like I'm chatting rubbish for an hour. But that's just for the hoi polloi. They think that and they get frustrated by it. But if you're laughing on the inside at what I'm doing, then that means you're part of my inner circle, like me. A lazy, bloody, cantankerous old git. So, let's start, shall we? So I've done nearly 10 minutes here without getting on with it. But the thing is, I haven't got much to say about any of these, to be honest. Couldn't be asked. This is a lazy video. I'm doing this in the most lazy way I possibly can. That's what I'm doing. Right, number 10, I've got the late, great D'Angelo. Remember him? He died this year, poor old D'Angelo. So, he only ever made 3 albums, but they were all really good albums. His first album was called Brown Sugar. I bought it when it came out. I was into all that neo-soul stuff. Neo-soul, for those who don't know, was like R&B. It was like 90s R&B, but with a jazzier flavour. And there's a whole bunch of artists that came out at that time, like Erykah Badu. I love Erykah. Jill Scott, I love Jill Scott. Maxwell, didn't like him so much. And D'Angelo, he was another one. And D'Angelo did his first album, Brown Sugar, which was quite good. Then he brought out his sort of masterpiece album, which was called Voodoo. And then he didn't do anything for a long time. I think Voodoo came out in 2000, and he waited another 14 years, which is a long time. On my list, it's nothing. Some of the artists we're going to be looking at in a minute have taken decades to make the next album. But D'Angelo, I mean, why did he take so long? Apparently, he got depressed about being marketed as a sex symbol. He wanted to learn guitar, and he had substance abuse problems. That sounds like lazy. I could say that. Why didn't you do any research for this video, Andy? Well, I just get tired of being treated like a sex object by YouTube. I want to be taken seriously. And everyone knows I've been practicing guitar like mad. But I'm quite good on guitar. I bet I could have showed D'Angelo a few things or two. I didn't use it as a bloody excuse. I've been practicing my scales, getting the solo to Hotel California down. Come on, D'Angelo, where on? Pull your finger out. Now, I can't go. I'm halfway through bloody Sultans and Swing, Mark Knopfler. Oh, don't learn that solo note for note. Knopfler didn't learn it note for note, didn't he? No, he's just making it on the spot. You know, that's what guitarists do. So why am I learning it note for note for if that's not what they do? Well, that's a big mystery, D'Angelo. You need to solve that one. Oh, bloody hell. Well, I'll go away and do that. No, come on. Forget all this worrying about these things that don't matter. You're procrastinating, D'Angelo. You need to get down and do it. Eventually he got down and did it. And he did Black Messiah, which is a really good album, you know. Maybe you need to spend a lot of time on things. I don't know. I don't like spending a lot of time on things as well, you know. Anyway, D'Angelo, he's died this year. He got cancer. And his girlfriend, or ex-girlfriend, Angie Stone, she died as well. Bloody hell, it's all depressing, isn't it? Why do we even bother, you know? Bloody D'Angelo. And the worst thing is the last time, when D'Angelo died, I did like a tribute to him, and most of the audience would go, what are you covering him for, Andy? So why is it not prog? Is it not classic rock enough for you? Or is it because of the colour of his skin, or the fact that he's got an incredible body, or did have an incredible body? That's what he's most known for. One of the tracks, don't know which one, one of the tracks off Voodoo, the whole video was just the camera gazing upon D'Angelo's beautiful body. Did you hear that noise then? I think that's telling me to move on. Right, so what's mad is I've got him at number 10. Right, and I've made a mistake straight off because I haven't put the effort in with this one. Because at number 9 I got Kate Bush. But actually Kate Bush took less time to do her album. So now I've got to just come up with something on the spot, which means there's a reason why I'll put her at number 9. Or all the anal retentive types of watch this go, why is it at number 9 when it only took her 12 years? Yes, 12 years between the Red Shoes that came out in 1993 and Ariel that came out in 2005. So why is she higher? Well, you could just say because I made a mistake and I didn't quite add it up right. You could say that, I suppose. But also you could say that if you add up all the gaps between her albums, I mean, she makes The Dreaming in 1981 or 82, something like that. Then you have to wait a good few years till about 86, I think, for Hounds of Love. Then you have to wait another, say, 4 years. You know, so there's 4 out. I mean, it's not that bad, is it, really? But there are big gaps, you know. And then when she did Ariel, it was a long time between the next lot of albums she did, which I haven't really been bothered with, to be honest, even though I love Kate. She's famous for not doing anything, but this big gap, this big 12-year gap, is because she had a little boy, right? And she just wanted to look after him and just sort of mooch around a big mansion, you know, looking after the boy, which he probably needed looking after because apparently she'd got Rolf Harris around there most of the time, painting in the garden. And so you would have wanted to keep an eye out for most people, I think, because he was old Rolf. He was, you know, he was like a butcher's dog on a piece of bacon that had fallen. You know, he always liked to let the dog see the rabbit. He did, old Rolf. So you know, Kate was probably protecting, you know, everybody from Rolf really, but. You might ask your question, well, then why did she have Rolf round the house painting in the garden? Don't know. Maybe she didn't know about it. He ended up on the album Ariel. He plays the artist. And I think he did a bit of didgeridoo on The Dream. And in fact, this is really Kate's Achilles heel is Rolf Harris, isn't it? Of course, she disowned him. As soon as they found out what a terrible man he was, she disowned him, didn't she? And she took him off Ariel. Although I don't think she removed the didgeridoo, because his didgeridoo skills were very good, despite the fact that he was a horrible, dirty pervy. So, with Kate Bush, it probably wasn't laziness, because actually, she's probably having to do a lot of household chores through that time if she was bringing up the boy, because unlike the rest of the people on this list, who were, I think, pretty much men, being a lady, she would have had to do lots of vacuuming, washing up, you know. And you feminists will be going, listen to Andy the sexist pig. Listen to him. going on all the women. It wasn't just because she's a woman, she had to do the washing up and wash the clothes. But when you listen to the Ariel album, it's all on there. Most of the songs are about that. You know, before she was singing songs about, you know, pretending to be Kathy from Wuthering Heights. The next thing she's a ghost in a house. And the next thing she was always pretending to be things, wasn't she? You know, well, at one point she was a baby in a womb, wasn't she, on that one tune? Always pretending to be things old Kate is. But then when she did Ariel, it was like you could tell she hadn't spent much time doing much. She hadn't got much, you know. I mean, there's one song on Ariel where she just says pie. She just reads out the pie, you know, which is an infinite. What's it called? A recurring. Something recurring is what it is. Yeah. She just reads the numbers out. I mean, that's bloody lazy. I mean, that's why she's got higher than D'Angelo. D'Angelo never just read numbers out. At least he'd come up with some lyrics. Kate couldn't be asked for that one. Let's call it pi, and I'll just read 3.1415, never 7236447. And no one's bloody checking. I'm sure she did read it out. I wouldn't have bothered. I just would have just done what I did then. Although I think I started off okay. You can check that. Those who were anal retentive can check to see how close I got to pi then. So that's who we've got at number that number 9. When it's all down here. I'm all reading it off my phone. Number 8, I've got Oasis. Oasis, they split up in 2009, and then they've waited till 2025 to do something again, which is like 15 years. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, Liam and Noel, you know, they were doing other stuff, solo albums and all sorts of, they're getting up to all sorts of, you know, musical shenanigans, weren't they? Oh, Noel. I'm not saying Noel and Liam are lazy. I don't think they were, especially Noel. I think he's a very hard-working man. Liam is as well, I would say. You know, there's no reason to think they're not. But what about the other blokes in the band? What about Bonehead? What about him? And the bass player, him, the other one. Don't know his name. Something Carol, is it? I don't know. Not much research gone into this, I'm afraid. But that's the whole underlying theme, is you're watching a video about laziness that features laziness within it. See, that's clever, that is. It's clever. So, yeah, Bonehead. What's Bonehead been up to? What do you think he's been up to? Well, I'll tell you something about Bonehead. You can tell why he got the name Bonehead, because he does look like a bonehead, doesn't he? When you go back to the 95, 30 odd years ago, and you look at a photograph of him, but now he looks quite presentable because he's got all the trappings of a rock star, hasn't he, old Bonehead? I mean, obviously he's made some money and he's put that away. He's probably invested it quite well. And he's probably found a lady that's way above his, you know, league, because he's a rich pop star type. And she would want just to hang around and have loads of money and hang around famous people. So, and she's probably smartened him up and said, come on, Bonehead, we'll go out, I'll get you some clothes. So that's what he's been doing for 15 years. He's just getting nice clothes. So when he emerges, and he's probably been sat there going, oh, Noel and Liam and bloody make friends. You know, we could go out and do some gigs. Well, do you need to do those gigs, Bonehead? Well, it'd be nice to have a little bit of extra cash. I mean, spent it all on clothes and the missus. You know, she's way out of my league, so I've got to have the money there. You know, and all the time we've been together, it's like, you know, she's never had the Oasis experience, because I know what it's like to be in bands. You know, the ladies will go, oh, so and so's done this, and then when you don't do it, they start going, it's all a bit rubbish, really, isn't it? It's one thing being Bonehead and being Oasis like 30 years ago. I want to be out there ligging it up backstage, you know, with all the famous people, Johnny Depp turning up and sitting back there and going, who are you? Oh, I'm Bonehead's missus. Oh, it's very nice to meet you. I'm Johnny Depp. Oh, that's lovely. That is, I'm hanging out with you, which means I'm your equal. Not really. But that's the thing, isn't it? This is what it's all about. So I think, you know, Bonehead... I mean, who did they have on drums? I don't even know who was on drums on this tour. I don't know anything about it. That's the theme throughout these videos. I don't know much about it, right? So we've got number 8 is Oasis. You're enjoying this one. And number 7, I've got, well, it's joint 8 or joint 7, really, because it's the same amount of time. I got Guns N' Roses. Now, Guns N' Roses have rivaled Oasis for making people wait, haven't they? Because they did the spaghetti incident, in 1993. And then we had to wait till 2008 for Chinese Democracy to come out, didn't we? We did it with... It's called The Most Famous Wait in Rock. And that delay was 15 years, the same sort of delay that Guns N' Roses delayed it. Oasis delayed it. I can't even get my words. I can't even be bothered to say full words now. I'm just saying laid instead of delayed. But do I have to even say anything about this bloody Guns N' Roses? I don't get them at all. Why are we even talking about them? Why was it a wait? I'll tell you why. It's because Appetite for Destruction is a good rock album. That's it. It's a very good rock album. Why we have then decided to elevate Guns N' Roses to be the same as, say, Aerosmith or Led Zeppelin or ZZ Top off one album? You know, I mean, they did the Use Your Illusion 1 or 2. There's some big hit records off that, but they're rubbish. They just turned into a big flouncy, flappy hair, like one up from Bon Jovi, really, didn't they? After that, you know, just because they got loads of money, could afford helicopter shots. It's sort of, it was on. I can remember having MTV in the early 90s. That's all they played. All they played was that Guns N' Roses video, which sort of has embedded them into the psyche of the rock audience. But really, we shouldn't even be considering them. There's one decent album, then a couple of okay albums, and then we had to wait around for this Chinese Democracy, whatever that was. Did anyone listen to it? I don't even know why we're talking about it. Why have Guns N' Roses? And the thing is, even now, every time they get back together, it's like a big deal. But it's not a big deal because they've got back together a million times. They got back together to honour Black Sabbath. Remember, I watched that video. And it's always the same when you watch them get back together. You're all waiting for Axl Rose to cock up, you know. And you could tell he's nervous, he's on edge, he can't relax. So it could well not be laziness, couldn't it? It could well not be laziness with Guns N' Roses. I think Axl Rose is a bit of a nervous wreck, really. I mean, he puts on a lot of bravado, old Axl does. Anyway, that's who got number 7. I don't really want to say much more about them, and I've spoken about them. Number 6 is a firm favourite. It's like a band I would talk about on this channel because my viewers love any video on this band. It's called Pink Floyd. Now, Pink Floyd made the Division Bell in 1994, and then we had to wait 20 years till 2014 to get the Endless River. That's 20 years. Now, of course, the Endless River was a tribute to Richard Wright, and it was cobbled together out of bits and pieces anyway, wasn't it? It really was, you know, Dave Gilmour going down the sort of metaphorical settee, Pink Floyd settee, and pulling out old pennies and bits of baked beans that were falling down the side and seeing if you could find a few cruddy tracks, which they did. You know, Pink Floyd, I said recently when I went through objectively, you know, I got sick of all this sort of Rolling Stone 100 greatest albums of all time. It's a nonsense. And I went through, I spent a week to try to work out what is the greatest album of all time, and I decided it was Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. It's a little bit like Guns N' Roses. That is an amazing album. But the thing with Pink Floyd is they have done some other good albums, and they've got some other good tracks as well. I mean, to give them their due, they did come up with something reasonably good. But there's 2 Pink Floyds, you see. There's 2 Pink Floyds. Well, there's actually 3, because if you count the Syd Barrett era, so you got quirky pop, post-Beatles, psychedelic pop, Pink Floyd. Then you've got classic Pink Floyd, which is all existential angst and weird effects and, you know, tape loops and helicopters and things like that, all the weirdness, Pink Floyd at Pompeii. And I like all that stuff, the psychedelic stuff, and they get really wild at certain points. Then you've got the sort of estate agent rock of everything they made after the final cut, haven't you? Which is sparse and sporadic. And that audience, I think they prefer that. This sort of estate agent rock that they do, probably listened to by estate agents and accountants throughout the world. They aren't really bothered now about Dark Side of the Moon and all the bloody clocks ticking and songs about death and all that. They don't really want that anymore. All they want is a nice couple of chords that you sway between while Dave Gilmour does a very tasteful guitar solo. That's all they want, you see. And Gilmour's quite happy to give it them, but you see, they're so unbelievably well off and rich that I think that they've gone to that point now that every time they go in to make an album, if they can, this is Dave Gilmour making an album, right? Every time Dave Gilmour decides to resurrect the name, which I don't think he will now, he'll just do himself, you know. But every time he decides to do that, to resurrect the name, every bit of it, because of the money, just takes weeks, you know. Have you ever heard the story about, I think it was Lee Ritner, when they were making The Wall, they'd already got to this decadent point where they were spending weeks just trying to get guitar solo right. And old Gilmour had run out of ideas, you know. He'd run out of ideas. He got no ideas, no inspiration whatsoever for this. So they called up, I think it was Lee Ritner, and he went down there and soloed over the track. Because he's a proper musician, you see. He's a jazz rock fusion musician, and they are way better than anybody in the world of rock, right? I know the audience don't like that here, some of them. They don't like that to be said. They want to think that Dave Gilmour's one of the greatest guitarists around. Oh, he's got feel, Andy, and you don't understand that. No, Lee Ritner's got way more feel, plus a ton of chops and a million ideas, and he can just come up with wonderments. And that proof of the pudding is when push comes to shove, Dave Gilmour sat there saying, well, should we just get a proper guitarist in and I can just copy what he's done? Which is what they did on The Wall. I know you don't believe me. It's that case. But when you listen to the story from Lee Ritner of him turning up to this studio and there's like 100 amps in there and everyone's slaving away while Dave Gilmour is worrying over one note. And this is something I hate. I hate when music gets like that. And I don't want anything to be produced out of that I don't want to listen to anything that's been produced out of that process, believe me. I don't want it. So that, you know, Pink Floyd here really represent that sort of, you know, decadence. Let's make the album perfect by worrying about it. You don't make albums perfect by worrying about it. So that's them, number 6. We're halfway mark now, everybody. It'll be over soon, don't worry. And number 5, I've got My Bloody Valentine. So Kevin Shields, the leader of My Bloody Valentine, made the landmark Loveless in 1991, an absolute landmark of sort of bleak indie rock, you know, that took the sort of dark aesthetic, the gothy aesthetic of, say, the Sister of Mercy and the Cure, but they really, really went down into the deep soul and he expressed a black existential angst on this masterpiece of an album that was made in 1991 from the blood, sweat and tears of Kevin Shields, the genius that came up with this sort of, you know, dark album, you know, and he was so dark and depressing and such a masterpiece, wasn't it, Loveless, that it took him 22 years till 2013 to come out with MBV. MBV was the album that came out. Now, I'll tell you something. My Bloody Valentine are in the class of bands for me. I haven't said much about them, right? Oh, I'm sick of tired of having to... I'm supposed to sit here now and go, oh, My Bloody Valentine, absolute masterpiece. It's not. It's not. Right? It's just a lot of guitars making lots of distorted noise. Right? And they're not making the sort of distorted noise that comes out of Angel Witch or Slayer. It's not exciting. It's depressing. It's depressing and gloomy and moody, and believe me, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a bit of gloomy. If you like it, great, you know. If you're the sort of person who thinks the high point of the 1980s was Jesus and the Mary Chain, you know, a bunch of glum teenagers with big hair and tight black trousers staring at the floor while they try and jangle out some awful chord progression that they can't play properly because the guitar's around their bloody knees while some drummer sits in the background pretending to be Mo Tucker. I mean, Mo Tucker's one thing for the Velvet Underground, but there he is, Jesus and the Mary Chain. The thing is, these bands, it doesn't matter what happens, everybody thinks they're wonderful. They're not wonderful. right? My Bloody Valentine, it's just a band. They're like Bucks Fizz, right? You've been taken in because it's depressing, right? It's like thinking that the greatest film ever made is Schindler's List. Oh, why is it so good? Oh, because it's depressing, it's black and white. You know, it's not. It's not even Spielberg's best film. What's Spielberg's best film? What's Spielberg's best film, you ask? I'll tell you what Spielberg's best film. Jaws, that's his best film, right? That's exciting and good, and it's like they're trying to kill a shark and the shark wants to eat them, right? Now think of the musical equivalent of that. Think of the musical equivalent of three blokes going out on a boat and trying to kill a shark, right? And the shark wants to eat them. And the way they kill it is by sticking bloody oxygen tanks and then shooting it with a gun so it blows the big fish up. That's a proper film, that is. Not bloody Schindler's List, you know. I had a mate, right, and he had like ADHD, and he used to get really hyperactive, and he used to really be over the top, you know, and he'd get like really angry or excited, and we'd have to calm him down. It was like, especially if he had like, say, I don't know, some sort of energy drink, he'd get really, and he didn't want to be like it himself, you know. He used to be, oh, what should I do? I've got too hyperactive, I need to wind down, I can't wind down. We didn't, you know, he didn't want to get into sort of drugs or anything to sort of bring him down. So we used to sit him down and make him watch Schindler's List, you know. Or we could have played him My Bloody Valentine. Look, don't get taken in by it. Just because something's depressing doesn't mean it's artistically good. I'll tell you now, right? And I will make this point on this channel before I die. I will get this out into, this channel has to become a big success so I can get this across to people out in the world, right? Chaz and Dave, the great Chaz and Dave, they are perhaps the greatest British band of all time, right? I've studied this all my life. I'm not joking here. Forget your Beatles, forget your Pink Floyds, forget any of them. The greatest British band is Chaz and Dave on every single level. Musical geniuses, incredible songwriters, brilliant. But because it's funny and entertaining and people like it, they all think it's a load of rubbish. And then Kevin Shields can spend hours in days, weeks, months, years being depressing in the recording studio and just jangling guitars on end. Oh, it's a load of bloody rubbish, isn't it? Don't get taken in by that nonsense. Right, so I'm moving on to My Bloody Valentine. I need to return to them because I've added them to the list of people I hate. Van Morrison's at the top. We've got Patti Smith's in there, Lou Reed's in there, Nick Cave's just gone in there recently, and I think I'm going to put My Bloody Valentine in there. Eventually I'm going to have a top 10, and it'll be the top 10 bands that Andy hates. It won't just be the worst bands or the most, it won't be like that. It'd be the ones I really hate. And My Bloody Valentine, I'm just sick. I've spent my whole life around a certain middle-class type who's been telling me, oh, love, this is a wonderful album, one of my favourite albums. Yes, who cares what it is? You're only telling me that because you think you elevate yourself by saying that, don't you? Lazy bastards, anyway. 22 years to make a pile of rubbish. I could do that tomorrow. Right, number 4, I've got Lauryn Hill. She took 27 years, and 27 years and counting, isn't it? Lauryn Hill still has not done a follow-up to her debut, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. She has cited the reasons as being label politics and the unrealistic expectations for the reasons for the delay. So what she's saying is that it's been so long now that everyone expects something so brilliant that she can't actually do anything. Now, I could fix that for old Lauryn. Lauryn Hill, right? In the 90s, she came out with in a band called the Fugees. Now, the Fugees are okay, right? They were a little bit like bloody, what's that band? I will remember it. No, it's not going to. I'm not going to be able to get it. So forget that bit. Everybody. Right, I was going down a blind alley. Something about food. Black Eyed Peas. There we go. Got there in the end. Black Eyed Peas. There's a collective, couple of blokes and a girl. Now, Black Eyed Peas aren't they? They're not like bloody the best thing in the world, are they? Really, Black Eyed Peas. Really. Now, that's what the Fugees were like. But the thing with Black Eyed Peas is, they do write their own songs. The Fugees, well, they did this Ready or Not. That was okay, that was. Ready or not, here I come, you can't hide, I'm gonna fight. You know that one? And then they did Killing Me Softly, which they added a sort of hip-hop-y beat, and then somebody going 1 2 1 2 in between, which I don't think it needed. Killing me softly with this song. 1 2 1 2. Didn't need it, right? Anyway, Lauryn Hill she was a singer on that. Now, what I remember is a lot of girl singers got quite inspired by that Killing Me Softly. I think Lauryn Hill brought a certain vocal style back into fashion in the early 90s, which we hadn't heard for a while, which is called basically a soulful.
Now connected to desktop 0 at 60s 8.
I'm sorry about that. It does that all day long here. I've got this bloody Echo Dot thing, and even though no one's doing anything, it keeps telling me it's connected to that, and it says that big word that I don't even know what it means. It doesn't even sound like words to me. Anyway, forget that. I'm getting overwhelmed here, you see, because I've got that going on, and there's a bloody horse outside over there. He's in a horse box, but I can see the back of him. He's got a coat on. He's going now. I've got to say all this because, you know, I'm trying to explain the video to you here, but I'm trying to do it in a lazy way, like really show that I'm lazy as well, you see. So I'm trying to make it a bit rubbish, even more rubbish than normal, really. That's the plan. What's your concept for this one, Andy? Well, it's like one of my normal videos, but even more rubbish. Why is that? Also, the sort of my fan base who understand it, you know, the sort of fan base I've got, you know what I've got, you know, the clever ones, the sort of cynical, clever ones. I love Andy. I checked my videos on YouTube. I'm in the top 0.2% of people who've watched it. You know why? Because I get what Andy's doing. I watched the whole thing all the way through. Do you really? Oh, yes. The wife comes in and goes, why do you like this bloke so much? He goes, oh, you don't get it. It's very, very clever, you know. Now, I'm parroting a Stuart Lee sketch here, right? But I even though he's been an influence on the channel, and I can't deny it, Stuart Lee has been an influence on the channel. When I watched Afterlife the other day and I was enjoying it, you know, and that's the thing that I think this is what got me a bit depressed and made me want to explore this lazy, because it just pulled the sort of, you know, motivation to do anything, because I thought, I'm enjoying this Afterlife. I wonder what everyone else thinks. They should never think what anyone else thinks. So I go on, I Google it, Afterlife's review. The first thing that comes is Stuart Lee. And then Stuart Lee is so nasty about Afterlife. He's horrible. And I thought, you stuck up, middle class, lefty prat. You know, but I like Stuart Lee, you see. But I thought you're not going to like it, are you? Because you like things to all be edgy. I bet you like Loveless by my bloody Valentine. But the thing with Stuart Lee is it's bizarre. He's a massive fan of free jazz. There's another video of him answering questions about Derek Bailey, albeit questions that I could have answered relatively well, but I think he gets some full things. So the fact that he likes Derek Bailey, that now pushes me up. This is what I'm like with Stuart Lee. It's like there's a certain aspect about it that really gets on my nerves. So I imagine he would like this. But I tell you who he wouldn't like. I don't think he'd like Lauryn Hill, who then after I'm sorry, I pulled it back now, don't worry. So then after doing the old Fugees, she made an album called The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Now I think what happened here is the music critics, back then you had magazines like Q Magazine, Rolling Stone, Uncut Magazine, and these were really for an older sort of more conservative audience who still wanted to feel like they were in with the whole thing, you know, and this is where you get all these bloody essays about Loveless, you know, articles, and, you know, these older blokes. I know exactly what they're like. They're Clash fans, basically. I've got loads of mates like it. And so they don't want to really listen to anything by an American soulful black person. They don't want it, right? But they don't want to appear racist, you see. Okay? So, you know, they're not going to go and listen to Michelle Ndegeocello. They're not going to listen to her. That would be a bit too much. So they need something which points to that. This was back in the 90s. So they need something like that. You know, John Legend's fulfilled this role more recently, I would say. And Miseducation of Lauryn Hill then got everyone, one of the greatest albums ever made. You know, it's one of the greatest. No, it's not. It's absolutely. It's okay. It's okay. It's got like 2 good songs on there, and they're good popish R&B songs. All right, nowhere near say what A. Marie was doing. One Thing by A. Marie is the greatest soulful rhythm and blues tune of the 90s. It's a masterpiece, although I think it's early 2000s, isn't it? Oh, I don't know where my time scale is, but you see, I've always been a fan of that music. I've always listened to Mary J. Blige and all these people. They're all great. So I was thinking, why are we going on about, you know, Lauryn Hill for? You know, we've got like Angie Stone, as we've mentioned before, but I think she represents, she's like a safe bet for people who don't, you know, they want to appear like they've got a sort of, basically a soulful black post hip hop album, but they don't want to go and listen to anything too heavy. They ain't going to be listening to Diggable Planets, are they? So you get Lauryn Hill, right? So she makes the album. Everyone says it's a great, and she knows deep down. She knows. How am I going to top this? Just by doing anything, Lauren. It's too late now. Right, we're at the top 3 now. Right, at the top 3. Right, at number 3. We've got 40 years. This is a massive jump. 40 years between 1981's The Visitors until 2021's Voyage. And this, we're talking ABBA. So ABBA did all their albums. They stopped in 81. They were multimillionaires. I think one of them, the not blonde one, she went off and became like a princess, married some royal family type, you know. They're multimillionaires. The lads go off and start making musicals, which makes them even richer, because that really is where the money is writing musicals. So they do all that. They don't want to go back and do ABBA. And then the girls get older, don't they? They get older. Before you know it, the girls are too old. They're past it, really. Then technology comes along, and they have this idea of, you know, basically they found a way of flogging the dead horse. Queen's a little bit like this, as well as in ABBA, who had not really flogged the dead horse. Suddenly, although they'd done, you know, Mamma Mia, they did, Andy, admit it. They did flog the dead horse, didn't they? Then they realised they could go back out on tour by getting bloody holographic robot versions of them to go out. And of course, everyone went and bought into it, so they did an album. I don't know anyone's mentioned the album in any shape or form. Now, again, at one end of the spectrum, there are those types who want to say that Loveless by My Beloved Valentine, so this is a masterpiece, real masterpiece. And then there's the ones that go, oh, Miseducation, Lauryn Hill, absolutely brilliant album. I'm really into all black American music. It was really, really good. There's those types. And then there's the postmodern types who want to go, oh, I'm a big fan of ABBA. You know, you may just think they're simple pop, but actually it's very sophisticated, and if you know about things like me, you can hear that they are very sophisticated in their pop songwriting, actually geniuses in the way in what they do, and I can appreciate it, and it's very, very good. So there's this thing emerged. Now I'll tell you who's kicked this off. It was a bloody Erasure kicked this off back in the bloody, when was it, 1980s really, when they did the ABBA album. Can't remember what it was called. And it's like, I can remember being at college, and then all these kids who had been little kids when ABBA came out and their parents had bought the album, they were now out clubbing, and they, in a nostalgic way, like these ABBA songs cropping up again, especially recorded in a more contemporary way, as Erasure had done back then. And that sort of brought out a resurgence into ABBA. And here in the UK, we had a comic duo called French and Saunders, and they were never that funny, but they did do a parody of ABBA. So everyone went back to it in some sort of postmodernist way. This is when this sort of postmodernist, you know, oh, let's go back and see that's funny and appreciate it in a way that was never intended in the first place. That idea emerged, and out of that, ABBA have slowly grown, where people have started, are actually really good, and now they're seen as being almost like geniuses, right? And I find it annoying. And if I come on here and say, you know, this is a load of nonsense, there will be people here now who will be going, oh, Andy's out of order. I really like ABBA. Yeah, mate, you usually listen to like prog and jazz rock fusion. That's why yeah, but I do appreciate ABBA. No, you don't, right? Right. The thing is that this has sort of happened to the Carpenters, right? But not in the same way, okay? But what it's not happened to is Brotherhood of Man. Now you tell me why. Now you're going to say the songwriting's not as good. Well, I think it is. I think Brotherhood of Man is good. What about Stutz Bearcats? What about Stutz? Come on, admit it. There's no music YouTuber that's gone from bloody Loveless, My Bloody Valentine. Look what we're covering here. And now we've got Stutz Bearcats. Because it was Christmas and I got really depressed. I always do at Christmas. I'm that type of a guy, you know. And I thought, how can I really explore the dark depths of this Christmas depression? And I ended up watching some Little and Large specials from 1981. And my God, was it depressing. It really was depressing. And I was sat there with a lip quivering, you know, eating Jaffa cakes, you know. I've got them over here, hang on. I'll have a Jaffa cake break. You just wait there. Oh, this is the thing at Christmas. Our cupboard's full of stuff like this, you see. So, I mean, I've only got that one left, but I am a bit peckish. So I watched Little and Large. Depressed. Can't take it. I'm acting at the moment. I'm not depressed now. What was the other day? Why do we have to live this life? It's depressing life. And at the end of the year, when it's so dark and depressing, I have to conform to this Christmas. Spend all my money on things I don't want to buy for other people. And stop doing what I want to do. And do things for other people. I can't stand it. Why does no one see how bad it is? So I'm sat there eating the Jaffa cakes like that. Stutz Bearcats, come on. Forgot about them. They were like a crap version of Manhattan Transfer. I mean, that's like... Stutz Bearcats. I want to do a video on Stutz Bearcats. I bet there is a video on you. I bet nobody's done a video on Stutz Bearcats, have they? Is there any videos on there? What is out there on Stutz Bearcats? I feel like it needs to be memorialised, because if you think about it, Little and Large, for those of you who don't live in the UK, Little and Large are the worst comedy duo in the history of mankind, right? They are the most unfunniest comedy duo that's ever been. They had two blokes. One was a fat bloke and one was a thin bloke. And the fat bloke was called Eddie Large and the thin bloke was called Sid Little. Sid had no talent whatsoever and would just read things off autocue, which is the best thing about them. But Eddie Large would do really bad impressions of everybody all the time. And it was a small remit of impressions. And somehow they managed to stretch this awful comedy routine, which should have died in working men's clubs years before. But somehow they ended up being the biggest act. So, of course, they would do the big Christmas show, and they'd have a big budget for it, dancers and everything. Cliff Richard would turn up on there, and on that Stutz Bearcats came on and did a tune. I thought, bloody hell, I've forgotten about them. Anyway, the bizarre thing is that my wife's mom was a professional dancer in the 1960s for Ken Dodd and people like that, and her best friend eventually got married to Eddie Large. And so Eddie Large was a friend of the family until in COVID he died, which was quite depressing, really. So I feel bad criticising him because he was sort of a family friend, Eddie Large was. I can't believe I'm saying all this. You didn't expect this, did you? You didn't expect this, but you don't know what you're thinking. Where's this video going, Andy? What's going on? Lazy. This is called lazy YouTubing. Lazy YouTubing, right. In 1965, in America, a band formed called the Sonics. And the Sonics are one of the most important bands in the history of rock and roll. They really are, and I've never mentioned the Sonics before, never mentioned them. But in 64, 65, they were like working in a way which was just like that little bit heavier and a little bit out there. And within the Sonics, you can see the scenes of punk, you can see the scenes of heavy metal, the scenes of rock, psychedelic rock, prog even. They did like massively long tracks, all just the Seeds. Now there was another band around the same time, a little bit later, called the Seeds, but they're not the Seeds, they're the Sonics. I get these two mixed up. It's the Sonics that had the Seeds. The Seeds did have some Seeds, but not as many Seeds as the Sonics. Sonics are bloody important. Like I was going to do a video on grunge, you see, and I started tracking back the history of where the idea of grunge came from. And I thought, well, it goes back to the Sonics, doesn't it, really? You know, here in the UK, we got the Kinks and the Who, I suppose, but they didn't have this sort of garagey, or garagey. How do you say it? It's like, British people say garagey. Anyway, the Sonics, bloody, really, really important. They made 3 albums, and they were done by 67. They were done. Go back and listen to them. The stuff they're doing in 65 is beyond anybody else, right? And this really challenges my theory that rock music was really born in the UK because, you know, the Americans, they had the Doors and Love, which are great, but it's basically bossa nova with bloody existentialist lyrics over the top. It's not really Cream, is it? Or Led Zeppelin or what we did anyway. The Sonics apparently got back together. I didn't know this. They got back together in 2015 and they made an album called This Is the Sonics, which is a total of 48 years. Wait for the Sonics to... I don't know what this album's like, but I know, in fact, I've mentioned the Sonics. I mean, this is all pretty good if you think about this video. I mean, I know I've taken a lazy aspect to it, but we've just gone from Stutz Bearcats to the Sonics. It's amazing. It's brilliant. This is all right, really. Right, at number 1 on this list, I've got somebody that I've never heard of, and I haven't done any research on them, so all I can do is read out my notes. So I had planned to do something, but when I thought, now, when I had this sort of, why do you do that one today, but in a lazy way, I thought, well, what about the number 1? Well, here's the whole point. Here's the esoteric point of my video, is as I get to number 1, after all this big build-up, you're not going to get that much information. Why? Because I couldn't be bothered. You see how clever that is? Right, so at number 1, I've got Dean Gitter, who released... My computer decided to chime in. Is that some sort of sound effect to just announce the number 1? Is my computer going, Andy, this is rubbish. You know, you're supposed to have a big fanfare when you get to number 1, and you've just sort of thrown it away, haven't you? So it thought, I'll give a little bit of a fanfare, computer. Thank you very much for chiming in there. Dean Gitter released Ghost Ballads in 1957. And then he followed that up with Old Fogies Never Die in 2014. That is the longest gap between albums, which is my age, 57 years. It was 57 years. Dean Gitter. Don't know who he was. I imagine he's some sort of middle of the roadish. If he came out first out of 57, he's probably on the tails of rock and roll, but it was all getting a bit Pat Booney. So I imagine he's in that sort of milieu. Right. Oh, I've got 2 Jaffa cakes left. Let's finish them off, shall we? Some of you may have noticed that I have problems breathing through my nose. And some nasty people will make a comment about it. And the reason is because I've got a twisted septum. I think that's the quite. I had it diagnosed many years ago. Now I've got a big nose, and you'd expect having a big nose that it would operate correctly, but it doesn't. I could never breathe through it. It's not blocked, I haven't got a cold, I just can't breathe through my nose, never been able to. And as I get older, it's getting worse. And sometimes if I stuff my face, even for comedy value, stuffing your face is always funny, I think. No, it's not, Andy. I didn't think it was funny. I thought it was gross. I know, well, you don't understand the esoteric meanings behind it. You know, but at Christmas, people fill their face up and they overeat, right? And that's one of the few pleasures you get at Christmas, and it's not a great pleasure, and I'm lampooning it here by going, look, this is what it is. This is what's been going on here. This is what I've been up to, stuffing my face with Jaffa cakes. You know, really, I'm critiquing capitalism, really. For those of you who aren't intellectual enough to understand that, fair enough. But when I do that, which I just did then, I realise I can't breathe. I panic. Polyps. That's what I think it is. Polyps as well. Polyps. So, we're at the end of the video. They're always an hour. It doesn't matter how I try now. It's like, it's always an hour. We're coming up to the hour now. I hope you enjoyed this one. I know it's a bit strange. I did really want to explore my lazy side, really, this morning. You know, and really give the least effort possible. I'm using my new camera today, and the microphone's really good on it, but it's not as intelligent. Like with an iPhone, the iPhone knows it's talking, that it's recording, and it focuses on it using some sort of psychic Apple AI thing that I don't really understand, or assume that's what it does. This one is much more stereophonic in its in its aspect. So you've probably been listening to the cars going past as well. There's probably been the slow drone of cars. Now, one of the things that's interesting with my iPhone, just so you'll know, is it's been putting a sound on many of my videos just in the one speaker. It sounds like a little hamster on a wheel going round. And I thought it was in the room for years, you know, and I've been aware of it. People have been commenting on it. Some people can't watch the video. I can't watch it with that sound going on in the background. I can't take it. You know, they're called autistic people. There's nothing wrong with autistic people, but you can tell they're getting stressed up by it. But for those types, this camera should not be making any noise. Plus, I like the picture much more, and it's much better to use. And also, the way it's mounted, if I do look at the time on it like I'm doing now, because I watch the time and check what I'm doing and make sure it's all going to plan, then I'm actually looking more into the camera rather than do that. So this is a big improvement. Now, if you want to know how I bought this camera, it's because of the money that goes into the PayPal tip jar. So, believe it or not, this is my job now, and so there's a number of ways I make money. Now, the main way I make money on here is through ad revenue, believe it or not. Advertisers actually pay, and they pay over the odds. I had a message saying this is why I'm doing okay, because I'm only a little channel, but apparently they pay over the odds to advertise on my channel. I can't believe it, but the YouTube sent me a message saying that the other day. I don't get it at all. It's just baffling to me. Anyway, let's not worry about it, because it's a good thing for me, at least. So that's the main way. But the other ways I make money is through Patreon. And Patreon pays for my rent on my studio and covers the bills there. So if you want to just support me more than just watching the video, and you support me by watching it, of course, you could toddle over to Patreon, and you could become a member. Now, you don't have to pay up front straight off. You could do it by becoming a free member, then becoming a paid up member. Or you can become a member here on YouTube, and that's different stuff. You get members only videos and stuff like that. So that's another way of supporting me at the moment. That's not really making that much, but it is there. You know, I think that could become a thing in the future on YouTube. I think the membership could become a thing. Who knows? And then there's the PayPal tip jar. And the PayPal tip jar goes up and down like a fiddler's elbow, really, in terms of what gets stuck in there. But this month there was quite a few donations, and I thank you for them. And I've been able to buy a camera out of it. So I just thought I'd go through that in a little bit more detail than normal, because the anal retention of me really wants to finish on the hour, and we've actually got 6 seconds to go till then. So now I've arrived at the end of the video. Anyway, this has been the 10 Most Laziest Musicians by me, Andy Edwards. Please like and subscribe if you like this nonsense, and you know, get out the door, you know, look at the sunshine, breathe in the air if you can, if you've got a working hooter, and you know, get yourself back on track. Let's just get out of this bloody post-Christmas depressing, you know, this week between this and New Year's Eve. I hate New Year's Eve, bloody hell. I will say this though at the end. I've created a very special video that will air at midnight on New Year's Day. That's the beginning of 2026. The minute 2026 starts, there's a video going to be premiering on my channel if you're in the United Kingdom. I'm very United Kingdom centric, but I thought that was the way to do it. So yeah, it's like a new video for the new year, and it's actually like a bit like MTV, but for people who like what I like, basically musically, and it's quite exciting. There's not much, there was no talking on there. It's just video clips of different artists, but I've weaved it all together. I've remastered it. I've re-edited it. In some cases, I've got better audio copies and stuck them onto video. So the stuff you're going to see, you can only really watch here because it's all been sort of fiddled with. There's little bits of me drumming on there, drumming along to other tracks I like. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and I was quite pleased with it. And I did some experiments, and I managed to get it through the old copyright thing. Now, obviously it's demonetized, but it hasn't been blocked except for Russia, which I don't care about. So if you watch that, if that works, this could be a great thing. It's called God's Video Jukebox Volume 1. It's an hour long, and I think it's an hour and a quarter long, actually. It's really long, and it's got all sorts of different artists in, and hopefully if this gets popular, people will go, oh, Andy's got a new God's Video Jukebox. They can sit back and have an hour of like music that they just know is they aren't going to be able to predict what's coming, right? And it will be exploring prog and jazz and rock and future, but also a whole bunch of weird stuff as well. And the next ones, I'm going to make sure we've got some Stutz Bearcats in. Thanks for watching.